8 a.m., Thursday. "Hey Terry, pass the paper, I gotta see this for myself," Alex said, taking the paper from Terry. "I was reading that," Terry replied. "You never let anyone else find anything interesting." "Guys, stop, this arguing is pointless," I said. "Here's one. Nighttime mall security," Alex said, ignoring me. "Nighttime? That works out. What are the times?" asked Dave. "Says here that the job's from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. A 10-hour shift," Alex replied. "Nice," I said, "those are good times for all of us. Call up the number and see if we can get an interview." "Already on it," replied Terry. 9:24 a.m., Thursday. After Terry texted me telling me we got the job, I was a bit curious as to why we didn't have to go through an interview. When I asked Terry about this, he said that he didn't know. I told Alex and Dave about the job, and we all agreed to meet at the mall at 7:30 that night for the first shift. I did a bit more research about the mall and found out that it was so big that it needed 10 nighttime security guards and 3 janitors. I went to sleep afterwards, ready for our first shift. 7:25 p.m., Thursday. I was woken up by the sound of my phone ringing. "Hello," I said in a tired voice. "Will? Where are you? We're all at the mall already waiting for you," Dave replied. "Shit. I forgot about that. I'll be right there," I said while hurriedly getting out of bed. I sprinted out of my front door with my car keys, and started up my car. I sped to the local mall as fast as I could. 7:35 p.m., Thursday. I pulled into the parking lot, and saw Alex, Terry, Dave, and someone that looks like one of the day guards. I rushed out of my car. "Sorry I'm late guys, was fast asleep on my couch when Dave called," I said. "No problem, Will," Terry said. "This is the head day guard, John." "How do you do, Will?" John asked. "I'm doing fine," I replied. "How about you?" "Same as usual. I hear you guys are some of the new night guards," John said. "Yep," replied Alex, "and I sure am ready to start this exciting new job." "Well, I'm sure you won't be saying that by the end of tonight," John said. "Why's that?" Alex asked. "Well, you see, the job just gets a bit, boring. Basically no movement from the main office until it's your turn to go on patrol," John replied. "Anyways, better be getting you familiar with the security office before your shift starts." 7:55 p.m., Thursday. "That should about do it for the tour," John said. When we got inside the office, we found 6 other people who were also nighttime security. Their names were Mark, Jackson, Kira, Oscar, Sam, and Lizzie. John explained to us that every 55 minutes, starting from the start of the shift, the patrols would change. The person on patrol had 5 minutes to get back to the office. John was about to get us started on our shift when he suddenly turned around. "Oh, I almost forgot to mention," he said, "there's a list of rules on top of the filing cabinet closest to the door. Follow them as if your life depended on it. I'll see you at 6 for the end of your shift." "Rules?" Mark, one of the other guards, said. "Didn't he already tell us the basic rules?" "Maybe it's a more detailed version of the rules," Terry said. "We're about to find out," Mark said, grabbing the paper off the top of the filing cabinet. All 10 of us gathered around and read the 12 strange rules written on this piece of paper. All customers must be out of the store by 10:30 with no exceptions. The person on the 10 o'clock patrol must lock all the doors after 10:30 before their patrol ends. Always leave the security door locked, and only unlock it if the person outside the door is the person currently coming back from their patrol. If you are on patrol and ever hear a crying sound from any of the shops, do not under any circumstances open the shutter. There isn't any person in distress in the shop. If someone doesn't come back from their patrol in time, do not send anyone else out or let anyone else in until the next patrol shift. Only exception is Rule 12. When using the bathroom in the security room, never look into your own eyes in the mirror. Don't even glance at them. At 11:30, check the camera in the janitor's closet. If one mop is gone, you must stay away from the janitors. Same if 2 mops are gone. If 3 mops are gone, the janitors are safe. If more than 3 are gone, immediately turn the camera off and stay away from all janitors. If at any point during your patrol you see a dark, hairy figure, walk in the opposite direction. If you answer any of his questions, you will be severely punished. For no reason shall there be more than 1 person outside of the security room at a time. From 3 to 6, always keep an eye on camera 8. If the camera fills with static, Immediately turn off all the power in the security office and hide under the desk. Stay there until the next hour bell. If you ever see glowing red eyes in the dark, calmly walk away and take the stairs to the basement. If you are in the basement when you see them, slowly walk towards them. They will disappear. At the stroke of exactly 2:55, the person ending their patrol must immediately enter the nearest food store. Do not wait for that person to come out, as they will only be able to come out at 6 when your shift ends. What the hell, said Oscar. 8:05 p.m. After drawing straws, we have decided the order of shifts people will go in. Everyone is still a bit worried about those weird rules. Mark, Alex, Dave, Sam, and Kira all think the rules are a bullshit prank by John and the rest of the day guards. Jackson, Terry, Oscar, Lizzie, and I are still a bit unsure. The patrol order is as follows. 8, Sam 9, Lizzie 10, Terry, doors, 11, Jackson 12, Mark 1, Kira 2, Alex, food, 3, me 4, Oscar 5, Dave. Sam is currently on his shift. Mark is completely against this thing about the rules. He keeps on complaining how we have to follow these stupid prank rules. 8:45 p.m. That's it, I'll show you guys that these rules are bullshit, Mark said. You see this rule right here? Rule 6, when using the bathroom in the security room, never look into your own eyes in the mirror. Don't even glance at them. This is absolute bull. Watch. Mark made his way over to the bathroom. Wait, Lizzie called, these rules were put here for a reason. John even told us to follow them as if our lives depended on it. What harm could be done? It's just my own eyes. Those were the last things we heard from Mark before the bathroom door closed and his screams of immense pain filled the office until 9:55. That's also when the blood started leaking from under the door. If you haven't read part 1, you should probably read it. I would post a link for it, but I'm on mobile and have no clue how. 9 p.m., Thursday. After we saw blood coming out from the door, we were way too scared to open it. Sam came back and Lizzie went for her patrol. Sam was very confused and thought we were playing a prank on him. He opened the door to the bathroom, and what we saw was absolutely terrifying. Mark has been turned inside out, and his eyes were popped out and stuck to the mirror. We were careful not to look ourselves in the eye in the mirror. That didn't stop Dave and Sam from losing their lunches. Holy shit, Alex exclaimed. Holy is probably the last word you can use for this situation. Jackson replied. How the fuck did this happen? I said. This place has to be haunted by some kind of demon from the deepness of hell, Terry shouted. There was a knock at the security door. Hello? Is anyone in there? Nobody spoke for about 30 minutes. The knocking continued the whole time. 9:37 p.m., Thursday. The knocking finally stopped, and we rushed to the security cameras. It was a large, hairy creature. Oh, thank God we didn't answer that question, Sam said. Why? Asked Alex. Because one of the rules said not to answer a big hairy thing and just walk the other direction. Wait, I said, Lizzie is out there with that thing. We all shared a look of horror as we tried to find Lizzie. I picked up the walkie-talkie at the other side of the room. Lizzie, do you copy? Yeah, I copy. What is it, Will? There is a large hairy creature roaming the mall. Whatever you do, don't answer any of the questions it asks, and whenever you see it, walk in the other direction. Copy that. I'll be back when my patrol ends. When Alex finally found Lizzie on the cameras, she was already being approached by the hairy creature. The second she saw it, she turned around and started walking away. She didn't talk to it once. It eventually lost interest and walked away. 9:56 p.m., Thursday. As Alex opened the door so that Lizzie could get in, Terry was preparing to do his shift. Remember Terry, Kira said, lock the doors at 10:30. Make sure they are all locked by the end of your shift. I'm not going to stray from those rules, Terry replied, not after what happened to Mark. 10:25 p.m., Thursday. All remaining customers, please leave the building. The mall is now closed, Dave said over the intercom. That should deal with the few people left in the building. All Terry's got to do is lock all the doors before his shift's over. Shouldn't be too hard, Alex said, sounding unsure of himself. Maybe I should go out there and help him, I said. No, Sam exclaimed, the rule said that only one person could be outside of the office at a time. Right, I forgot. 10:45 p.m., Thursday. At this point, Terry had gotten all the first floor entrances locked up, and all he needed to do was get the entrance to the parking garage locked up. "You're doing well, Terry," Dave said into the walkie. "Thanks, just need to get this door and..." Terry was cut off when he saw a pair of red eyes appear in front of him. "Holy shit," I exclaimed, "what the hell is that?" Terry turned around and started running from the creature, dropping the walkie as he ran. "Wait," Sam shouted through his walkie. It was too late. The creature was already moving swiftly towards Terry. We watched in horror as the creature caught up to Terry and started ripping into his back. Terry's spine was brutally ripped out of his back and then devoured by the horrifying creature. I couldn't watch anymore and turned off the camera displaying the terrifying display. "What the actual fuck is this place?" Oscar said. "I don't know," said Jackson, "but I do know that someone has to go out there and lock that door before 11. I'm next on the list for going out on patrol, so it's only logical that I'm the one that goes." "Well, I said, good luck out there." "Thanks," he replied, "I'll need it." 10:50 p.m., Thursday. We watched as Jackson made his way into the basement, slowly getting closer to the door. "Okay, Jackson, if you see those red eyes, slowly walk towards it," Sam said into the walkie. "Got it. I'll make sure to." The red eyes appeared again. For a moment, Jackson stopped in fear. But then, Jackson slowly walked towards the eyes. The eyes suddenly disappeared, almost as quickly as they appeared. I watched camera 16, the camera facing the parking garage entrance, as Jackson locked the door. At that very moment, the hour bell rang for 11 o'clock. "All right, mission success," Jackson said into the walkie. "Now it's just time for me to patrol. See you guys at midnight." 11:45 p.m., Thursday. Everything was going smoothly. I used the bathroom, and never looked at my eyes in the mirror. Jackson had almost finished his shift. Sam had even found a spare burger under the desk. The only reason I survived those 10 minutes was because I was busy browsing Reddit when Sam asked if I wanted the burger. Everyone else had eaten dinner except for me. I declined, as I lost my appetite to a disgusting-looking picture of a dead rat. That single post saved my life. But ended Sam and Jackson. 3 minutes after I said no to the burger Sam offered me, I heard a choking sound. It came from Sam. "Are you okay, Sam?" I asked. He only responded by holding his neck. "Shit. He's choking on the burger," Oscar said. Everyone jumped up to try and help Sam. We tried all we could. I was the only one who noticed Jackson on the cameras. I was the only one who watched him talking to the hairy man. I was the only one that watched him die. And that stupid burger was the cause of it. If we hadn't been distracted helping Sam with the burger, we wouldn't have lost Jackson. If only we'd read the back page of the rules. 11:55 p.m., Thursday. We sat in the darkness of the security office for a while. I already told everyone what had happened to Jackson. At least Jackson had gone out without pain. The same couldn't be said for Sam. His neck was ripped open, and the burger clogged it completely. He was completely dead in 1 minute. We read the rules again, and decided it would be good to make a copy of them. That's when Kira dropped the rules and they flipped over. What we saw was 3 more rules scribbled on the back. "Are you telling me that we didn't read all of the rules?" Oscar said. "Seems like it," I replied. "Well, guess we should probably read these before someone dies because of one." So we read the rules. They explained Sam's death, and things that we luckily haven't encountered yet. 13. Do not eat any food you find around the office. Nobody left any food. 14. Sometimes you may look at the clock and it will say 6. Check your phone time. Check the watch time. If either don't match up to the clock, it is not actually 6. Do not leave the security office. 15. Beware the bats. So the burger was a trap, Dave said. I really wish we had flipped the page over earlier. Lizzie said. What does it mean by beware the bats? I asked. I have no clue, Oscar replied, but it probably means that there are going to be bats flying around the mall. I really hope not, Lizzie said. I hate bats. 12:55 a.m., Friday. We were preparing to send Kira out for her patrol shift. As stated in the rules, we couldn't send anyone out last shift, as only I witnessed Jackson's death. It was Mark's shift anyways, and he was dead. Good luck out there, Kira, said Oscar. Thanks, she replied. 12:34 a.m., Friday. I studied the rules for a while. I was reading carefully, getting specifics so that I was ready for my shift, when I noticed something. Hey, Did anyone check the janitor's closet camera at 11:30? I asked. Nobody answered. No. Why do you ask? Dave asked worriedly. It says that we needed to. Oh no. We looked at the cameras and saw the janitor's closet camera was now covered by some type of cloth or something. That's not good. Tell Kira to stay away from the janitors, Oscar said. Kira, do you copy? I said into the walkie. Kira? It's too late, Alex said. We looked over at the cameras where Alex was. The janitors were cleaning up something red. And Kira's head was in the mop bucket. 2:54 a.m., Friday. Alex was prepared to sprint out of the security door. We needed him to get into a food court by 2:56. The second the clock turned to 2:55, Alex sprinted out the door and ran to the closest food store. He opened the shutter and dove under. There was no camera in that store, and the walkie wouldn't have enough power. We wouldn't be able to talk to him until 6 a.m. Time for my patrol to begin. 3 a.m. I walked out of the office, into the dangers of the mall. My friends in the office told me they didn't see anything on the cameras, though they said they couldn't see anything from the east wing. That camera was just filled with static. I was going in blind, with no clue where any of the creatures could be. I heard a crying sound from one of the clothing shops, but I wasn't about to break a rule to go investigate. I wasn't able to contact the people in the office since 3:10, and I wished I realized why, and didn't just assume their walkies died. Over the course of my shift I heard noises that weren't there, and saw things that I didn't think existed. At one point, I saw a sporting store that I never knew was there. I looked at my phone for the time. 6:07? I knew that couldn't be right, so I checked my watch. It said it was 3:13. I was so confused until I remembered the rule about the clock in the office. It never said what to do if you were outside the office, so I decided to hide in the nearest store, which just happened to be the sporting shop. Little did I know that I'd made a pretty huge mistake. 3:15 a.m. It was dark inside the shop, but after feeling around for a while I found a light switch. When the lights turned on, I was surprised to see that there were no balls or gear. Just a bunch of different types of bats. Baseball bats, softball bats, and cricket bats. Every bat was of a different size and texture of the bat next to it. No two bats were the exact same. It was odd seeing so many bats in one place. Who would own a sporting goods shop but only sell bats? I tried to ignore it as I waited for my phone time to go back to normal, but ignoring it was the last thing I should have done. Around 3:23, according to my watch, anyway, I heard a noise behind me. I turned around to investigate, and tripped on one of the bats. It was one of those rubber bats that's lighter but doesn't hit as far. As far as I could tell it was a baseball bat, though something seemed off about it. But I couldn't tell what. I got up and picked the bat up to put it back where it belonged. That's when it hit me. Literally. The bat flew right out of my hand and hit me directly in the face. It took me by shock, as I was the only person in the room. Suddenly, all the bats in the room started floating, and it seemed like they were staring at me despite not having eyes. Then I remembered. Beware the bats. One misinterpreted rule almost killed me. Almost. 3:27 a.m. The possessed bats all started moving at once, trying to hit me. Get away from me. I shouted quite a few times. Looking back at that, I have no idea how I expected that to work. I dove for the countertop, hiding behind as a metal cricket bat swung directly where my head was 2 seconds ago. I had to find something to help me. Then I saw something that still haunts me to this day. The mannequin in the corner rose up, alive. Now, I didn't used to believe in ghosts, but after that horrific night, I had no choice but to start. The mannequin rose up, but it wasn't just the fact that it was a mannequin that terrified me, no. The mannequin was a direct copy of Sam. I backed away, but forgot about all the bats and got hit in the back of the head. The last thing I saw before getting knocked out was the fake Sam jamming nails into his baseball bat. A.M. I woke up back in the office. I was in so much pain. My legs felt like I stood in a pit of porcupines. When I opened my eyes, I saw Dave and Oscar frantically looking through the desk drawers. It seemed like they were looking for something. I was confused, and didn't remember much. What's going on? I asked, even though it sounded more like huzzing on. Holy shit, you're alive? We thought you were dead. Your face was absolutely plastered with nails when I found you, said Oscar. That explains the thing that came after you. There were 2 people out at once, Dave replied. Where's Lizzie? I asked, noticing some new blood covering the door. She was killed while you were out on control. Turns out the camera that turned to static was camera 8, and we didn't turn the lights off or hide in time. The only reason me and Oscar survived was because we managed to push the thing that came out of the camera out and into the hallway. It's a miracle any of us are still here. What time is it? 4:52, Oscar replied. Almost time for Dave's shift. Why do I even have to go out there? There's not a rule saying that someone has to go out. I know, but the Dave guard told us that someone should go out every hour, and so far everything he's said has helped us save our lives, so I personally say that we should trust him. I wouldn't be so sure about that. That day guard didn't tell us all this shit was gonna happen. If he had told us, we all could be alive right now. If he had told us, we either would have called him crazy, or ran away as fast as possible. This place needs night guards, and I'll be damned if it doesn't get its night guards. Everyone was silent for the next few minutes. Dave finally agreed that someone should go out to patrol, and it seemed like the argument was resolved. 4:55 a.m. You ready, Dave? Sure am. Open the door for me, Oscar. I'm gonna try and get a bit of a run in case anything's outside. Oscar opened the door for Dave, and it looked as if Dave was about to make a run for it. But suddenly Dave charged towards Oscar and shoved him out of the room, closing and locking the door behind him. What the fuck, Dave? I heard Oscar shout from the other side of the door. Sorry, Oscar, but you didn't finish your shift, so I didn't see the need to do mine, and Will's legs are practically useless, so he couldn't go back out there. I could barely even talk, so I wasn't able to object to Dave's cowardness. All I could do at this point was hope that Oscar survived. 5:14 a.m. Dave was watching the cameras, content that he didn't have to go out there. All the walkies were either missing or broken, so nobody could communicate with each other. Oscar was walking towards the southern side of the building. That's when Dave gasped. I turned my head to the camera Dave was looking at. It was the fake Sam, holding its makeshift weapon. We couldn't warn Oscar. Luckily, it wasn't looking at him, but it wouldn't be long until it did spot him. Dave didn't know what to do. It seemed like my throat was getting a bit better, so I rasped out a few words. Go help him. What? But there can only be one out at a time. Why don't you go help him? Have you seen my legs? Dave paced around the room, not knowing what to do. He had two choices: stay in the safety of the office, but look like an asshole, or go out there and save him, but risk his own life. Luckily for Dave, I had an idea, and just enough energy to get it out. Intercom. What? Use the intercom. Dave stood for a moment, thinking about what I said. Then he walked to the intercom and turned it on. Oscar, watch out. Dangerous entity behind you. Oscar looked around before realizing it was the intercom, then looked behind him and saw the fake Sam. Unluckily, the fake Sam saw him too. Even worse was now every creature was alert to human presence. Every creature we encountered came out of hiding. The hairy monster, the red eyes, the janitors, the bats. Even the static monster from camera 8 came out of the television shop. Oscar had to get out of there. But Oscar wasn't the one in danger. All the beasts moved towards the office, somehow knowing where the intercom was. Me and Dave prepared for the worst, pushing the bookshelf in front of the reinforced door. We watched as Oscar fought with the fake Sam, but I turned off the cameras, for fear of the static monster trying to use them to get in. We had our own fight waiting for us. 5:45 a.m. 15 minutes. We didn't know what would happen in 15 minutes. Would the creatures vanish? Would they still be there, ready to murder the day guards? They say it's best not to focus on the future, but in this case, it was life or death. The creatures were banging on a door, trying to open it, but the lock wouldn't budge. Eventually the bookshelf fell over, and with just two people, one in not so great condition, we weren't able to lift the bookshelf back up. I somehow managed to get myself back on my feet, and prepared for the worst. 5:55 a.m. We were so close, but it didn't seem like the lock would hold. We were going to die. Maybe it's better that Dave stayed in here. Maybe now he'll die less painfully than Oscar surely did. As the door seemed closer and closer to budging, we heard a noise. It sounded like the demented sounds of a person in terrible pain. And it was coming from the bathroom. 5:59 a.m. We watched the bathroom door as the groaning got louder and louder. Dave looked at the clock. 1 minute. Come on, we're so close. The bathroom door opened, and I never thought that I'd see a more horrifying sight. It was Mark's body, but it wasn't. It was inside out, but with all his organs still inside. The worst part was that he was still alive. He was himself. And his was in immeasurable pain. Dave screamed, and if my throat wasn't full of nails, I would have too. The sight was horrific. It was even worse than when we saw him dead the first time. "Kill me." Those are the only words the horrifying version of Mark said before falling on the floor, and, hopefully, dying. We retched in fear and disgust, but Dave noticed something. Something extremely important. It was 6:01. 6:01 a.m. There was no more banging. The creatures were gone. We could leave. But we had to know if Oscar was okay. We turned the cameras back on, looking through, hoping to find Oscar, but he was nowhere to be found. We decided we would leave the office to try and look for him. Before we went though, my phone buzzed. I got a text from my mother. Sent 5:47 a.m. Hope you're having a good time at your new job. Sorry I text so early if you're asleep, but I'm pretty sure your shift ended at 6. Anyways, I'll see you next week for that visit. I smiled that I was able to make it this far. But I still had sadness for the people we lost along the way. Dave went to open the door to the office so we could look for Oscar. Everything seemed normal. I looked back at my phone to see what percent it was at, and glanced back at the message. Sent 5:47 a.m. 5:50 a.m. I couldn't speak. I couldn't stop him. The clock had played its trick, and now we were going to die. Dave opened the door. All of them were there. Every single one of the creatures were there. The hairy creature was the one to speak. "Why didn't you open the door, Dave?" The hairy creature attacked. It grabbed his head and pulled him into the hallway. There was nothing I could do. They entered the office, and I knew I was dead. But something was wrong. They didn't kill me. They didn't even look like they could see me. They completely ignored me, like I wasn't ever there. But that wasn't right. Dave and Oscar could both see me, and all the bats were able to see me too. So what happened? 8:45 a.m. I never figured out that day why they couldn't see me, and I don't think they ever will. I was the only survivor of the incident. Well, almost. When the clock hit 6, all the creatures disappeared, and I left that office as quick as I could. The opening of a shutter behind me scared me half to death, but that changed when I saw who opened it. It was Alex, emerging from the food court. He was alive, and he was able to see me. I was so glad for him to be alive. When the day workers arrived, we quit on the spot. Luckily for us, we still got paid quite a hefty amount. Because all of our coworkers were dead, they had nowhere for the extra money to go. I know it sounds sick, but I was glad for the extra money they gave us. Everything was back to normal as things get when most of your friends are dead and you know your mall has supernatural beings in it. I came back with many questions. Why couldn't the monsters see me? Where did Oscar disappear to, and is he still alive? What happened to Alex in the food court? Alex won't tell me what happened in that food court, but he's changed ever since going inside. He's gotten larger. Every week he gets taller and plumper. He's growing hair everywhere on his body, and I know that's not normal. He's oddly attracted to the mall, which isn't really a good sign. Most likely the worst thing of all, and the reason I now avoid him. He hates it when you answer his questions.